you, Sue. I get worried when people clap before you've even started talking. So it's faith, hope, or charity. So at the end of the talk, when you do clap, it's charity, I guess. So I would like to thank Sue and then Jill in the development office for putting this together. This is a really nice opportunity to see old friends and make some new ones. And engineers really aren't very good public speakers, so I went ahead and put the words together. And what I'd like to do is just briefly cover ASME and CSU for the time period of the really 1914 to about 1964. And then Fred Smith will cover the second 50 years in his manner. I don't have the benefit of actually being present, having been present during that time period. And so we'll just go ahead and take a historical look at that event, and I'll just weave things together. So first off, let's go back to April 27th, 1865. The Civil War has just ended, and the Mississippi steamboat Sultana is steaming to Memphis with 2,000 passengers, mainly Union soldiers just released from Confederate prison of war camps. And they're heading home. All of a sudden, the main boilers on the steamship exploded, and 1,800 of these 2,000 men and women died. This remains the greatest maritime disaster in U.S. history, even more loss of life than the Titanic. But have anyone ever heard about this? No, because just a few days before, President Lincoln was shot, and this disaster was relegated to the back pages of the newspapers. However, this was not forgotten by some mechanical engineers of that time who realized that with the progress of the Industrial Revolution, there came a need for mechanical engineers to have a professional society. This society would help facilitate the flow of knowledge from research to application and develop standards for devices that mechanical engineers build, namely steam boilers. Hawley and others, Hawley was the fellow that really got this going, founded ASME, as Sue mentioned, in 1880, with 4 themes: knowledge, community, education, and leadership. The education theme has given rise to the ASME student chapters. In 1914, ASME published the performance standards for steam boilers. As a result of ASME's work, the number of boiler explosions has dropped from 1,500 a year. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, that's like 5 a day or so, to a very, very small fraction of that. All steam boilers now must be manufactured to ASME standards. So that's the ASME background. Let's go to 1914 and visit Fort Collins. The president of CSU at that time is a fellow named Charles Lurie, an electrical engineering professor, with no comment. He would serve as president until 1940 for 31 years. The ME department head is a fellow named James Lawrence, an MIT graduate. And Professor Lawrence started the ASME chapter in 1914, and this would be the 31st chapter of ASME. At that time, and this is what will perk up some of the professors in the audience, 3 professors, 4 instructors, and 10 students. This is a student-teacher ratio, and I calculated this on my HP calculator this afternoon, 1.4 to 1. Okay, 1.4 to 1? I would love to go to the administration building and complain about something like that. Yeah. Then as juniors, all students took a required class in, guess what, steam boilers, and as seniors, a required class in steam engines. Okay. So that's some of that background. So let's move forward. During World War I, the ME department was also asked to train draftees in general mechanics, motor mechanics, radio, and concrete work. When I read that in Byron Wynn's history, note the ME involvement in electrical engineering and civil engineering areas. Some things never change. I apologize, Dr. Maroney. It's all okay, yeah. Yeah. In 1932, the ME department began an aeronautics program using what is now Crispin Field, northwest of town. The catalog at that time specifically noted the students would remain on the ground with no flying instruction allowed from the professors. There's a reason why these are called ground school courses. Okay. The ME department would remain relatively small until the beginning of World War II, when the enrollment jumped to about 100 students. Before then, it had been about 10 or so. And during this time period, many students underwent pilot training in the ground school, including a fellow named Bert Christman, an ME graduate who flew with the Flying Tigers in Burma and had Crispin Field named after him. And about 1,000 ME students passed through these wartime industries. In 1957, the college moved into the new engineering building, which cost $1.2 million. That is less than 1% of the proposed new football stadium. Okay. Well, we'll leave that one there, okay? The ME department occupied the westmost wing near the Laurie Student Center, and a room was dedicated for use by the ASME student chapter. This room was needed for the many trophies and plaques the ASME student chapter earned at conferences and competitions. There are now over 575 ASME student sections around the world. For example, I will be visiting Vellore Institute of Technology in about 3 weeks in India, and looking forward to meeting their ASME student section. Finally, in the early 60s, to meet increasing student enrollment and a new focus on research as well as education, new faculty were hired. One of the new faculty, hired in 1966, was Fred Smith from the University of Washington. And now Fred will pick up the rest of the story. Okay. Thank you.